I would say there's probably been 5 last year that tested positive.
And what happens?
It depends. If they are, the drug testing is not a punitive program, so I mean, it's like, if you test positive, we do not call the police. The first thing that happens is we call the parents and says there's been a probable positive test, because it's then sent off to the lab for confirmation. It will tell you right then if it's a positive, but I myself have had a couple of kids that have had a false positive. That's always a fun phone call. Yeah, what the beating
First
commenced.
one, the second one.
Exactly. And then had to make the phone call back and just kidding. But no, so they will send it back for the second time. If you are a member of an extracurricular or a co-curricular activity and you test positive then, you're suspended for 10% of your season, not from school, from your season. So let's say that you were a football player and you have 10 games your season, you're suspended for a game because that's 10% of your season. It's more for volleyball and basketball because they have more games, track as well. If you're a member of FFA, let's say, we just count how many judging contests you're getting ready to go to, and then we'll do 10% of that.
It doesn't matter how many games are left.
Correct, because it can fold into the next season then to make up for the 10%.
And remember, the drug-free program is not punitive because it's supposed to help us identify those.
To get them help.
And then the next thing we'll
That's
do
the idea
is,
behind it.
we go to the parent, because they can go into the drug diversion program through Newton County, which is a very good program. They go to classes and everything like that if the parents want them to be a part of that as well. So,
And so all students are open to this, or I mean, do parents sign a waiver for this, or?
if you are a member of a extracurricular or co-curricular activity, you have
You're
to sign a
mandated,
waiver.
okay.
If you're not a member, you don't have to sign it, but if you don't sign it, you also can't participate in anything else.
Anything, okay. And that's it.
Anything.
Any other questions on the drug-free program? The Quest program.
We're disappointed that Ann couldn't make it. She only has a wealth of information, but one of the things that I would say is she does an amazing job, and those kids that are in the Quest program are challenged and rewarded. She does a spectacular job.
I know she always worries about the ones that didn't quite make it into the
Right.
Quest program.
And it's not her fault. It's the state guidelines and state regulations that prevent them from being able to make it. And it's not. And you always got to remember, there's a difference between the kids that make the Quest program kids and your straight A kids. There's lots of straight A kids who would do wonderfully in the Quest program, but they're hardworking, great kids. But the criteria and the tests they have to take to make it into the Quest program, they don't necessarily score high enough on it to be able to be put in the Quest program. So, and that's what she's, as Eric said, that's what she's always fretting about, what we're fretting about, because you got great kids who just don't meet the criteria to be in the Quest program, even though they'd be spectacular in it. And that's a rough one to work with parents on. Say, your kid's brilliant, they do a great job, we love them, but they're just not. They don't meet these guidelines that are set by the state. But that's always a fun conversation. But she spends 2 days at Triway and two days at Granby each week, and splits her time. And some of the things she's done, they bought the robots where they program the robots. They've done some coding on the computers where they go in and actually write code for programs and those things. What did they do last year? They grew fungus last year. At some point, they were growing fungus, and then testing to see what it had. And so they do all these amazing things that you wouldn't think that 2nd through 8th graders could do. They do it. They do it well. It's pretty cool.
And so this is from, is it 3rd grade through 12, or what age do they start with it at?
It just goes through it.
Yeah, it stops at 8th grade.
It goes through 8.
Because once they hit the high school, we have advanced classes,
Yeah.
advanced courses. So what this does is create an advanced situation for those kids where we don't necessarily offer it in the elementary and the middle schools. But then when they get to the high school, if they're ready to walk into calculus as a freshman, we have it for them. which doesn't happen very often.
Yeah,
It
right.
does, but not very often.
Is it third grade or do you know?
I believe it's,
The where it starts?
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
I wish they had that when I was in school. Come on, man.
He's thinking for all his, he was thinking for all his friends.
Yeah, we're sure you would have.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Well, wouldn't you hate to be the person that had the 124 score?
yeah.
So to some of the kids that are in there, I mean, are they problems in the regular classroom because they get bored, or are these all pretty well?
You can have, I mean, I don't know about our current makeup of kids, but you can have kids who exceed and do wonderfully in the Quest program, but then struggle in the regular classroom because they're, as you said, they're bored, or they're accelerated and they're not getting challenged enough. So that's why the Quest program's there, to hopefully challenge them. And there's been a lot of kids who qualify for the Quest program who are C, D, and F students.
Right.
They're exceptionally bright and struggle in the regular classroom.
Those are the ones who never turn in homework, but
Yeah.
they ace the test.
Yeah.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Yep.
They don't feel like they have to.
Mhm.
I know it, why do I have to do the work? Is that right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Any other questions on the Quest program? Move on to building improvement plans. Who's doing that?
Mr. Charlton, building school improvement, do we have any,
You didn't know that, did you?
Yeah, you did.
Well, the building improvement plans were all turned in by each individual building.
I looked there.
And whatever their specific needs were, they've addressed those within the plan, and those will have all also bounced off, which is gonna be number 4, off our CSIP plan as well, so.
So we use the building school improvement plans created by the buildings. And, you know, the principals don't just sit down and do it, they have an entire group of teachers and folks who come up with what their challenges are and what they need to do to improve. And then we draw all that together to make our comprehensive school improvement, our CSIP. Our BSIPs become our CSIP, So we take the data, the information that the schools create organically, that they create themselves, and, you know, they look at test scores, they look at culture, they look at everything in their school and come up with their plan, and then that's what we roll into our comprehensive school improvement plan. So we take what they need and then we create the entire district plan from that.
And usually most of those, of the goals are the same, in student performance, highly qualified staff, facilities and support, parent community involvement, and governance. So that's usually what they're all involved in.
It seems kind of like it's the same thing over and over again, because it is the same thing over and over again. The challenges, we have some minor little challenges that tweak, but this is for continuous improvement, for the cycle of continuous improvement, where we check to see where we are, how are we gonna improve, check to see if we're improving, check to see if we're improving, then we come right back around to the beginning. Have we improved? What have we improved? Okay, we've improved here, we slid back here, now what do we need to do? So you plan and you just do it all over again. So if you look at last year's building BSIPs, there might be a couple of slight little differences, and the CSIP is probably gonna look almost exactly the same.
Any questions on the building improvement plans?
Yeah, a couple. I noticed that, Granby offers only a 98% attendance incentive, and everybody, the other two campuses are offering 100% incentive attendance.
Granby
Should be the same, should we be?
Nope, it's individual for each building. Granby has the highest attendance percentage every month, always. They always have the highest compared to the high school in Triway. So that's, their
Yeah, they
building
should.
decided on that, so.
Well, then, in that thought process, you know, the other schools have 100%, you know, okay, if you're here 100%, you get a reward, is that correct? Is that right?
I'm assuming their incentive is probably a reward base.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, you know, do students say, okay, well, I know I'm not gonna make that 100%, so I'm not even gonna try, but if they think they can make the 98%, is that why Granby has a higher,
I don't know. I haven't talked to them about that.
on the goal one strategy.
Good question.
Well, I mean, it's not ironic, but it's interesting that their incentive,
That's through fifth through eighth grade, because here's
Oh, okay.
here's Mr. Jacobs under.
Well, by high school, they need to improve on something because what they say they're doing is really just how they're reporting it on goal 4.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they really don't say what they're doing to try to get the kids there for the 90%.
Oh, they're not saying what they're doing.
Part of what the state also has is, the state requirement is 90% of your students are attending 90% of the time.
Yes.
And we all meet that,
Yeah.
but we all still want a higher attendance rate than 90, which we do have, but the high school always wants to try to get to Granby and Triway, though that will probably never happen.
The Granby and Triway kids can't drive themselves,
Yeah.
so.
Captive volume.
Okay, I just have one more question. On goal 3 on the high school side, yeah, on the high school side, it's increased college and career readiness scores above the previous year's 63.5%. So is that like a test score, or is that East Newton compared to everybody else?
It's East Newton compared to everybody else, and what that is your college and career readiness tests, ACT, SAT, your CTE scores from FBLA, FCCLA, Ag, all those go into your scoring, ASVAB scores, and all those. So they say, you know, for ACT, if you get this much, you get this many points. So 63.5% is what we've got right now. So instead of them saying, we want to score this, you want to continually improve that, because those numbers are so arbitrary between one test to another, because the tests are all different. So that's the reason why they went with the 63.5.
So East Newton's, we're better than 63.5% of the schools.
Correct.
In Missouri. Is that correct? That's what
Right.
I'm saying.
So I mean, you're still hunting on the other, you know, 35%
35%. Mhm.
change.
Okay. I guess 37, yeah. Gotcha.
Ish.
Okay, gotcha.
My math score needs help.
Okay. Okay, I think that's all the questions I
So
have. Just some information.
Let's move on to the comprehensive school improvement plan.
And you have those in front of you, and like I said, the CSIP is based off all the building improvement plans. And so that's, you know, that's for the entire district overview, rather than the small snapshot that you have of each one of the buildings. And each one, and the CSIP contains everything from each one of those buildings as well, of the things we try to do. Typically for the CSIP plans, those are for a 3-year cycle. Try to have those up for 3, that way you're constantly trying to improve those things and removing things that you've got completed and trying to add new ones.
And you'll know that we don't wanna, it's on a 3-year cycle because you don't wanna willy-nilly yank things. Well, that's not working. Well, sometimes you can't tell if it's working within, you know, it takes a little while to get the data and realize if it's working or not. So, you know, throwing 30 things up against the wall and trying to figure it out doesn't tell you which way, what is working and what's not working. So you focus on a narrower vision and a narrow goal. That way you can know if it's actually working or not. There's lots of folks out there that'll, let's try 15 new things, and then you see success somewhere, and you can't really pinpoint why the success is there, because you're doing all these 15 things, you don't know which one it is it a combination of all of them? So it's always prudent to keep that as a narrower field, so we can determine, is this really working?
Or if it's failing, we
Right.
don't know what's failing.
Right.
So then do we have a way that the 3 campuses are communicating, like, so if Granby's attendance is higher, are they sharing things with the other campuses to go on, okay, this is what we're doing?
Yep.
Different.
Yep, we have our administrative meetings and do those things, and those are some things we have, yep, a administrative meeting once a month, and then we also have the collaborative groups where the teachers are getting together and the principals are leading, administrators are leading those, so, yep.
Did they say once a month, or every week or something, that they would talk, and then once a month,
Oh,
for teachers?
okay, I didn't see that part.
Any other questions on the comprehensive school improvement plan? I need a motion to approve the evaluations.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
6-0. Reports, superintendent report.
First of all, thank you, we'll start with celebration of schools. That is the thing we do that Southwest Center and based in Webb City puts on every year. And all the schools come together and we celebrate our champions, and we nominate different programs and different teachers, and our Teacher of the Years get recognized. That is October 29th at 6 o'clock, and that's Tuesday at the MSSU LMP Center, the gym. If you are interested in going, just let me know, because I'll have to let them know how many we're bringing. So that's really, it's just celebration of schools. We go and we get to see our folks, our Teacher of the Year, and we nominate. I think we've nominated, Scott, 1 or 2 exceptional programs.
One that I know of so far, and then we also have a Friend of Education that we've nominated
Right.
as
So,
well.
and one of the things, we nominate a program, and the committee decides on whether everybody gets honored for the program, but then they get, the top 3 get selected, and you never know. So we do that every year and try and get one of the unique programs we're doing in schools. And Mrs. Medlin has nominated hers. I haven't read it yet. I just know she nominated. I haven't read exactly
one of the programs was
which one she nominated.
Mr.
So-
Griffith's students.
Tuesday night. Yep. So, just wanted to get that on your radar. If you want to know, if you want to go, just let me know, and I'll plug in. See, that way they know how many chairs we need to have. Enrollment, that is of this morning. Both these are of this morning. So currently we're sitting at 1301. High school has stayed constant. Look at that. And then we staying pretty constant.
You can't
That's
break the
not-
400?
They haven't this year. And then October attendance is very good, very, very good. And that's as of yesterday. So that's October that's half of October. And our attendance for the year so far is 95.23, which is better than we were at this point last year.
It seems like we're just down, I mean, there's starting to be some sickness going around.
Yeah.
So
So we-
it's starting a little.
These are the 2 months that killed us last year. January and February just hurt us last year. But this year, we're going strong. So we've started out well, knock on our wood. Kids stay healthy. With that, we're giving, all the teachers are getting flu shots Monday. So we're encouraging them to get their flu shots so that we don't lose teachers to the flu and end up with somebody out for 2-3 days or a week because they have the flu. So we're encouraging them to get their flu shots. And our, correct me if I'm wrong, it's paid for by our insurance. Yep. If all they have to do is bring their card, and it's their prescription card. Bring their prescription card and it's free. And we're doing that Monday at all 3 campuses.
That's good.
Cash flow for September, we are at about $2.1 million in our cash flow, so we're doing well. Next month, we'll get a little tight in our, and it does every year, because remember, we start off with a surplus. Our state funding is higher than our expenses in the months of July and June and July and August. Yeah, July and August. It's low. Our state funding is higher than our expenses, and then in September and October, our expenses are much higher than our state funding. So we lose a little bit there, and then the month of November becomes tight in our cash flow. But then December,
For property taxes.
Yeah. Property taxes start coming in, and we get out of that tightness. And then it gets tight again at the end of the year. So it's the way we operate. So we are in good financial shape right now. Revenues and expenditures, state revenues were $671 million, total revenues $756, and we spent a little over $1 million in our expenses. So we did have a surplus of right at $600,000. Then we spent $327. Now we currently have a surplus of $395,000 for this month. When we pay our our November payroll, that number will dry up real quick, and then it'll start building back up once, local funds start rolling. Yep. So we're good right now. Revenue expense comparison, currently this year in, expenditure, or we'll start with revenues. Revenue for this year is 2.3 million, last year was 2.4, so we're down about 21,000. Oh, I had something there that, our food service, we're down, we would be ahead, but there was a snafu with the, payment for food service for the, month of October. We didn't get it, or the month of September, we didn't get our reimbursement in September. So we'll get it this month, so that's why it would be up about $14,000, but we're down because there was a snafu with their payment portal, DESI's payment portal, so they couldn't pay us. So it goes on, it's a month later, so that'll come up. Expenditures, we are down about $44,000 from this time last year. So we're doing all right. Or it's early. Don't get crazy, it's early. We'll see what happens. Labor cost comparison, and this, remember, this is where the biggest money comes. That's our teacher Fund 2 pay and then Fund 1 pay, which is right now 1.16, and last year was 1.12. And again, that's easy. I don't know if I have to keep beating on that, but that's raises that is doing that.
That's why the teachers.
Yeah.
Runs up, because we get raises.
Yep, this time last year it was 755, and it's comparable to, and there's a couple switches on, where we were paying somebody out of Fund 1 that is now being paid out of Fund 2, so that's why that looks so big. It's actually two people that are being paid out of Fund 2 now that were paid out of Fund 1 last year. And our Director of Transportation was paid out of Fund 1 last year because he was classified. Now that he's certified, it's paid out of Fund 2. Total, we are, let's see, we're down 37,000 total. Is that right? No, we're up 37,000 total. Up, yep, compared to last year. Just revenue sources, where it comes from. Currently, our local revenue is paying for 21%, state is 69%, federal is 9%. You see it on that other one, we combine federal and state, so when we're here, on this one, when revenues, that's, state revenues is combined federal and state together there, so that's, I'm just splitting it out for you here. And we got $2,200 from county revenue, which on, it doesn't count, it doesn't even make it to 1% yet, so it's still, it shouldn't be 0%, but it'd be like 0.017, I don't even know, it's way down there, so that's where our revenues come from. Other cost centers, as we're looking at capital outlay, we're still at 99,000 compared to 120 this time last year. Transportation supplies are up, again, that's because of the bus, having the 2 buses repaired this summer, is that correct? I think we had the 2 buses that that had to have body work that we didn't plan on, so that's why that's up a little bit. Transportation labor is within $50, so of last year, and then fuel is down by about $2,000. So this is a pretty good one. We're in good shape there. And I could not get this fixed. I don't know why the smaller number on utilities month to date is much smaller than, doesn't make it should look like this one over here, but for some reason I couldn't figure out why. I played with it for an hour and then just, you're smart people, you can figure it out. I couldn't, but
You got stuck.
yeah, I couldn't figure out why. Let's see, this month we spent $20,000 on electric. Last year this month was $19,000. Trash and phone, this month $3,300, last year was $3,600, and then the total was $23,000, so it's very, very similar to what it was last year. And then year-to-date last year, we were at 51, and our year-to-date this year, we're 51, so we're a little bit ahead there. And then trash and phone, we spent a little bit more than we did last year, so it's pretty much evened out. And that's just, those ups and downs. And that is the financial report and my reports. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell.
You betcha.
Insurance has come back on the high school water damage, and they're gonna replace the lobby PC tile. That's something we won't do though till summer. That's a good possibility. We might replace some of the carpet if we can't get the water stains out. So we're gonna work on that part of it for probably our Thanksgiving or Christmas break on the water stains.
That went down the hall there, is that where?
Oh yeah, went down the hall, 3 classrooms.
And kudos to these guys. I got here like 6:50, and they've been in there for 45 minutes vacuuming up water. And you know, who else was there? Tony was there,
Yeah,
the
Tony.
custodians there, everybody
Yeah,
was,
we had custodians from all 3 buildings and
yep.
Roy and
And I showed
we had
up
old
and,
Scott Morgan up there for a while.
yep, they were busting tail to get it open, and we were out of the classroom for 2 days, or
Yeah,
3 days.
Those 2 days for those.
So
those
Tuesday
3
and
classes.
Wednesday, we were out of the classrooms, and then Thursday and Friday back in there. Crew did an awesome job, and these guys were sweating, soaked from head to toe with water, and I tried to help,
Yeah,
but
you
basically got in the way, so I quit and let the experts do it, so.
We got the awning between the weight room and the gym installed. It turned out good. I told you about the FirstNet service with the cell phone through AT&T for Triway. They said it was a better service, which we were afraid if you don't have no cell service, how can you make it better? And you can't. So, it didn't work, so we sent those back. Of course,
You can't build on a signal that's not there.
pardon? Yeah, you got to build on signals not there, so yeah, you can't build on anything. Lightning hit the bus repeater and antenna at the high school bus barn. We've got the repeater replaced. Insurance is taking care of that. We got our $1,000 deductible there. And then the antenna we're waiting on and the installer to come, the climber. So 3 weeks out for that. The radios are working. They weren't there for a while. Of course, lightning again has hit us last week and hit some of our access control. Those are fixed, so. It is a magnet. One thing that we're gonna do different though on our access control is because from the high school to the bus barn, it was underground. And we're just gonna make the ag building its own deal, so we don't have the wire going under and see if that takes care of it. We're gonna cross our fingers and hope. We're gonna replace our boat cleat and rope, our secondary locking devices. We do that at all 3 campuses. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. In an active shooter, the teacher should have their doors locked at all times, okay? But for a secondary locking device, we put a boat clamp.
A boat clamp that's got the 2
being
hooks right
attached here,
there.
and then they rope the door off. It takes a lot of motion. There is a device that will make that a lot less stressful for them also.
They just gotta grab it and slide it on.
Yeah, grab it, slide it off, it'll be on their wall.
And it's on the inside of every classroom door.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And Mr. Charlton's got title money to pay for it.
And
So,
And you're
that's-
gonna install them, right?
No, they will install them.
And we're gonna have it, we were talking about, Rusty and I were talking about where they store that, and what they would do, and we came up with just put another,
Yeah, they're gonna
go ahead.
just put a tap on in the wall.
So-
And that little circle you see that's on that will fit down in the door, that'll just they'll slide out right over that tap
So-
on.
All it'll be mounted right on the wall, right next to where it goes, they'll just grab it, slide it on there. Snappity snap and done.
And when are we doing that?
That should get installed, he said, in 2 or 3 weeks. It'll take him 2 days, so they'll come in on Mondays.
What kind
And
of
that's just to keep somebody
What
from
were we using?
kicking in the door.
It's just any type of rope.
Nylon.
something strong?
Yeah,
Rope.
yeah. You wrap something around, you wrap rope around it several times, it's
Yeah.
pretty strong. But it's like we always tell the teachers, if their doors are locked, this is not an issue, but this makes them feel better. So,
It's
Inexpensive,
easier
cost,
to
and
not-
fast,
It's
a
easier
little bit
to,
safer.
yes, it's a lot faster and easier to do than the rope and
and then they can't just shoot the doorknob.
they
Nope.
can't shoot, they can shoot the doorknob if they want to too, and it's
But
not,
it won't affect
yeah.
that.
The movies aren't as accurate as everything. Like
This is
portrays.
only for, if there's a shooter in the building.
Or some.
Intruder, it doesn't even have to be a
Yeah,
shooter,
right,
just a lockdown.
Yeah, lockdown, right.
All 3 campuses?
Yep.
Everyone?
Yep.
And it's gonna have our logo
And,
on
and
it.
simple.
It'll have our logo, and the reason I put the logo on there is so tell the teachers, you need to see the logo to put it in, so that makes it.
I
Another
thought you were
thing.
kidding.
No. Logo up, logo up.
Yeah. And
Try to make it as
who's
simple
installing
as
it?
possible.
Who's installing all of it?
They are.
They are. Okay.
Really?
Z-Lock, it's the principal out from Skyline who's come up with this.
Good idea.
Very nice.
That's all I have, any questions?
When are they doing this? You said 3 weeks?
They're supposed to be out. It'll take 2 to 3 weeks, he said. I'm assuming it won't be next Monday, it'll be the next 2 Mondays they'll come in and start installing.
What's the reason for them installing it instead of us? Just, it's cost
It's
effective?
Title I money and we don't
Oh,
ever spend it all, and
Oh.
Top four.
Title IV, sorry.
And
My
they'll-
title- my
No,
title's
no,
right.
no, not Title I.
No, my title's right, sorry.
And they'll get it done and it's.
Yes, yeah.
Well, plus it,
That's it.
we might do it wrong.
Right, right.
You know?
Exactly.
It's,
Yeah.
and it's included in the cost, and
So,
so,
yeah.
and they can do it a lot faster, and then we're not pulling Ron and Roy off of
Yeah.
other things they could be doing, so.
And that may never get done because it'd be hard to go back and start, start doing that again and that's a lot of doors. How many?
There was 178 locks.
178.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like Rusty said, part of my report, that is through Title IV money. And Judy asked the question of, how can we pay that through Title IV? Title IV, you're allowed to use things through student safety, so that's how I'm coding it. So that's
Okay.
why I will pay for that. We've had a couple reading meetings with some teachers. We've selected some teachers at both campuses, Granby and Triway, K through 8, and we've had some reading meetings and everything to discuss, some things that we're doing well, and then some things that we need to get some improvement on regarding our reading, so we can try to increase our ELA scores. And then we're also here in 10 days or so, when we've got our next PE, we're gonna meet vertically by subject level and go over those things as well. We just had a really, really good meeting with Jana Loge from Missouri State University. She came down, talked to about 14 of our teachers regarding dyslexia, talked to them all day yesterday, and it was a great meeting. I got a lot of stuff out of it, and she gave them a lot of good information to use for our students, which the nice thing about this is, even if you're not a dyslexic student, all these things are good to help you become a better reader. So, she gave them a lot of tools and strategies to use, and they're taking those back to their classrooms and talking to the other teachers, and then we're gonna probably send them on to their step 3 of this dyslexia training, and they'll get a few more things out of it as well. So, it's going really well. Question?
That's it. Thank you, guys. for the
Thanks.
report.
That's it.
No old business, no new business. I need a motion to go into closed session for employees.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Break.
Break my hand.
Break your hand. I want to
Nice to meet you guys. Have a good one.
Yeah, I'm Nathan Thorpe, by the way.